yesterday we have completed biomechanics. Arena was there, so the topic I have completed. What is biomechanics? I'll just give you a short review. Basically, biomechanics means it is related to our joints. Okay, so basically, in a human body, whatever part like the joint movement which we are having, we are doing it. That is known as biomechanics. Basically, it is a term. The term biomechanics has been used. See, we have a ligaments. We have a ligaments in our joint, due to which there is a connective tissue in our ligaments. There is a connective tissue which forms the joints through which we can do the movement. We can do up, down, right, left. So there was a term used, the type of movements in the joints, the functions of that movement to the joint, and what is the name of that joint. There is a different kind of names of every joint in a human body. So far that I have explained yesterday. And today the topic would be joint stabilization. That means joint stabilization, that means, see, basically how we can stabilize our joint. How can our joint can be stable, to make it, to perform it in a proper manner, or to move our joint in a proper manner, how it can be stable. So that is, see, basically our joints are surrounded by ligaments, okay, which forms a connective tissue. Because of that connective tissue in our joints, a ligament is formed. Because of that, the movement of our joint can be performed, or we can do the movement, we can feel the movement of our joints. Okay, so there will be, the more tighter the ligament will be, the more perfect the ligaments will be, the more strong the movement will of your bones will be. You can do the strong movement of the bones. Okay, so basically, in short, the joint stabilization means, you can write it down. All joints are surrounded by ligaments. In a human body, all joints are surrounded by the ligaments, which is made up of connective tissue that hold the joint together, due to which we holds our joints together. See, the tighter aligned ligaments will be more stable joint. There will be a more stable joint in a human body. If our ligament is not stable or not tighter, or it is loose somewhere, or it is not working properly, or there is some weakness in our ligaments, our joint will not be stable at that point of time. There will be a bone problem. Okay, you can't move your bone, you can't rotate your fingers, you can't do any movement. There will be a pain. Because of this only, there are so many diseases are there. Basically, the major disease which you will be knowing is arthritis. There is arthritis to many people. Why? There is a pain in their bone, in their joints. What kind of pain it is? Basically, there is a blood clotting. Basically, there is a blood clotting in their bones, in their fingers. At every part of their joint, there will be a blood clotting, due to which they can't do the movement as we can do, or they can't move their body or their joints so freely. When they move, they feel pain, and then they go under the treatment for that. So just because why they feel pain, why there is a blood clotting there, because their ligaments are not working properly at that point of time. Their connective tissues are not active at that point of time. Okay, so this is the meaning of joint stabilization. We can, because of this ligaments and connective tissue, our joints are stable. Basically, there will be, the more tighter ligaments will be there, the more stable our joints will be there. Okay. Now, next term is used, joint stability and mobility. What does mean the mobility mean? Basically, the mobility is defined as a degree which the articulation where two bones meet. Basically, what is articulation? Yesterday, I just explained you articulation means joint. In the Latin word, we can, the term articulation means joint, where the two bones meet together and they make a joint, that is known as articulation. So mobility means the articulation, the movement of the joint where two bones are meeting and the movement is occurring, that is known as mobility. Okay. Now, see, basically that is also surrounded by the tissues and ligaments. So that is also the most important point. If our tissue and ligaments are working properly, our joints are working properly. The stability and the mobility together, they will work. If there will be no stability, there will be no mobility. At that point of time, why? Well, because our ligaments and our connective tissue are not working properly in the human body. Okay. So now, after that, there is a question in that book. See, if any topics, like yesterday Arena just told me that in the chapter biomechanics there was some topics that in your module it is given, that you need to go and see in that skeleton chapter. Okay. So in this chapter also, if any topic, I'll tell you the topic first and then I'll explain. So if any of the topic is not there in your book, or maybe if it is transferred to any chapter, please do let me know at that point of time so that I can at least give you the short note for that topic. And then when you will go to other chapter, referring chapter, when you will be going the module, so you have the notes at least. Like in sequencing, you will be having the notes for that chapter. Okay. So there is a question, why mobility and stability matter. Is that question in it is in your book? Yeah. So can you give any idea, Jenny, Arena, or Shruti, why mobility and stability? I just explained you what is the mobility and what is stability in a human body. If it is referring to the bone or joint, so why does it important? Why it is important? Any idea? If we are connecting it to the joint, you know what is joint, right? What is the role of joint in a human body, and how joint is formed in a human body, what organs are involved in that. So why it is important? If there is if there is no stability in your joint, or no mobility in your joint, can you join, can you move, can you move freely? You can't do that. So basically, why it is important, again, many people may not be aware that they have an healthy range of motion and unstable joints. See, basically many people, yes, it is right, so many people are there in sport or maybe in yoga. Okay, they are doing daily exercises, they are running, they are into sports and everything, but they don't have a full knowledge of their body or their joints, how active their joints are, how their ligaments are working, what, how strong their connective tissues are running into their body. So at certain point of time, when they got hurt or they feel pain in their bones, or maybe some people, they don't drink milk. Okay, they don't eat healthy foods, but they are also into sports. At that point of time, they feel little problems in their bones, they feel more problems, some people feel more problems, they feel pain after running, they feel, they are, while getting up, they feel so much, they feel pain in their joints. At that point of time, they are not aware that there will be instability in their joint, there is no good mobility in their joint. So for that, how they'll come to know, how they'll come to know, when you feel any kind of pain after doing workout, or maybe if you are going, if your immune system is not strong, at that point of time, if you are doing exposure anywhere outside, if your body is in working stage, that point of time you'll feel the pain, you'll feel pain in your joints, or maybe you'll feel, if you're not feeling pain, you'll feel fatigue. At that point of time, you'll feel tired, your joints, your bones are not working, not active, you don't want to work, or you don't, at some point of time you will not feel to wake up. So that is the major symptoms where there you will feel that there is a, your mobility and your stability of your bone is not in a good condition or not in an active mode to work. But yes, many people, 90% people are not aware of it. They just, they go on, they just keep on working, keep on playing, keep on doing exercises, but they don't feel, they don't see the limit of their body. Okay, so always see the limits of your body. If you feel any kind of pain, or if you feel any type of fatigue while doing this kind of exercises, or your body is functioning, please just watch, wait, and watch, and just see how your bones are working. If it is not working in active mode, go and consult doctor, what kind of food you need to take, what kind, how much milk you need to take. Okay. So stiffness, there is a main problem which people are suffering nowadays in if we talk about stability and mobility, is stiffness. What kind of stiffness? Stiffness can be in many parts. Like for example, if you're doing yoga, there is a hamstring problem, people are facing hamstrings problem in their legs, in their hand, in their back. So that is a type of stiffness, right? And why does it, why you feel stiffness in your body? Because again, the connective tissue of your body, of your bone, are not active at that point of time. Your ligaments are not tighter. As I explained you the term, the tighter ligaments you will be having, the stronger bones you will be having. So if you don't have a good ligaments in your body, that point of time you feel stiffness in your body, you feel hamstrings problem. Okay, and while doing it on regular basis, while doing it, while taking a good amount of food, healthy foods, you can cure that problem. You can remove your hamstrings problem. How do you remove your hamstrings problem? If you are doing stretching, or maybe if you are going up upward facing down pose, that point of time you feel hamstrings in your leg. So what does your instructor tell you? To do it on regular basis. If you'll stop, if you'll not do, or maybe if you'll not eat healthy food, that point of time you'll feel the pain every time, every single time you feel that pain. Right? Now, not being able to move freely can result us into pain. So if the third point would be, the first is that people are not aware of their problem, the minor problem which they are having in their bones and ligaments. The second was the stiffness, which we need to take care of it very much on regular interval of time. And the third one would be, if you're sitting, if you're not doing, your body is not active at all, if you're not working, you're not doing any movement till the time, like if we talk about corona time, people are working work from home, right? There's a no activities they are performing, right? The major activity what they're performing is, the max what they are doing is they're going from kitchen to hall to kitchen, they're going from washroom to room, that's it. Because see, it is not allowed to go outside. Okay, so yes, this is truth that but yes, what they can do is they can do yoga in their home, they can do exercise in their home to keep their body active, to keep their bones active. See, if your heart is healthy, if your abdomen is healthy, if every part of your body, eyes, nose, everything is healthy, but if your bones are not healthy, guys, it's like everything is just result into zero, because the major movement, the major function which your body performs is just because of your joints. If your joints are not healthy, you can't move, and if you can't move, you automatically every part of your body will stop working at certain point of time. You will not be having a sound mind at that point of time. See, if sometimes if you are in pain, if any part of your body is in pain, if you are in that point of time, you are not in your sound mind, you don't feel like to do anything, you don't feel like to do exercise, yoga, or anything. So joint is equally important as the other part of your body is important. Okay, so now if you're sitting, if you're not working, if your body is not functioning, that is also the main cause of your stiffness, hamstrings problem, and your joint will not be active at that point of time. It may cause the injury as well. If you're sitting 24 into 7, your knees will get hampered, your knees can be hurt, you can't move your knees in a free mode or active mode. Okay, now how can we improve our stability? Again, the the mobility and stability, how it can it affected because of stiffness, because of sitting like idle, or maybe because of you are not judging your bones or something. So how it can be improved? It can be improved by doing exercise, by just keeping you in your mind that how your bones are working. If any part of your bone is not working in an active mode, or that point of time, if your ligaments are not strong, you should always consult doctor, and you should take a good vitamins and proteins for your body and for your bone. Okay, now another great tool of balancing the exercise ball stability ball is, because there is a term, strengthening your core muscles. Okay, and that is in your pelvic bones. See, in a pelvic bones, the core is involved. So if your core are strong, if your core is strong, see, if you're doing headstand, that point of time you're holding your whole body because of your core. Your core is involved there. So why it is important? At that point of time, no joints are involved. If you're doing headstand, what kind of joint, what part of the joint is involved there? No joints. Only you are using your this elbows. Maybe you are using your elbows, but that is also not, there's no movement in your elbows. Okay, that point of time you're just sitting, there is no joint is involved. What is involved is your core. So to improve your mobility and stability in your joints, your core has a major role there. And where it is involved, it is involved in a pelvic bone. Okay. Now, next topic is two mechanisms that stabilize your body joints to avoid injuries. What kind of there are two techniques through which you can avoid the injuries into your bones. So what will be the techniques? First, see, the muscles, tendons, ligaments, tissues, they all are connected to each other to make your bones strong, to make your joints strong. Okay, so how, if there is any kind of injury in your joints, and if your ligaments are not working at that point of time, your tissues are not active, so there will be an injury, there will be a pain in your joints or in your bones. So how it can be cured? There are two basic ways: the active mechanism and the passive. The active means the muscles. Okay, basically the active means you can just write it down the definition of first. There are two ways to cure injury into your body or bones. There is a first one is active mechanism and second one is passive. Basically, it is related to your joint stability. The active one is related to your joint stability, where your muscles are involved. Okay, there your muscles are involved. That point of see, basically at that point of time, the information continually being collected from around the joints involved in an activity. If you're performing any kind of activity, for example, if you are doing Surya Namaskar, that point of time, you are from starting, you are aware that what point of joints are going to involve in this Surya Namaskar. That point of time, you are aware of it. That yes, now next you have to go down, next then you have to go up, then you have to go into mountain pose. After that, you will be doing Bhujangasana. So you are that point of time, your sensory organs are active. You know what kind of points are and joints are going to be involved in this Surya Namaskar. So in active, your muscles are already knows that what movement you are going to make next. At that point of time, you are already you are aware that if the sensory information muscle, so according to that your muscle already adapt that positions or that poses. When you are aware that next you have to do mountain pose, that point of time you are active, that yes, you don't have to hurt yourself. That point of time you make your joints active into that mode, and your muscles already adapt that conditions, that yes, if I'm doing mountain pose, that point of time my muscles should be there enough to support my body. My muscles are strong to support my body, so they adapt accordingly. Now the passive strain, what is that? Basically, I'll explain you in short what is passive strain. Suppose if you are sitting in car, that point of time, you know, to just take a precaution so that you will not meet with any accident or any kind of incident. What you need to do, you have to wear seat belt. Okay, that point of time you have to check your brake of that car. You have to check mirrors, side mirrors. So these are the precautions which you need to take before going to drive. Okay, so passive restraint means the precautions which you are taking before doing any activities through your bone or through your joints. Okay, passive, it's featured that the activated by force of collision. It's basically activated by the force of collision, COLLISION, or a sudden stop with the intention of preventing injury or occupant. So basically, before preventing any kind of injury, before preventing any kind of accident, there is a certain indication into your mind, yes, so that you have to prepare yourself. Your mind gets prepared to face that that activity which is going to be performed in front of you. Okay, so basically the definition of passive restraint will be in book it is given, but that too it is given in some technical language. So if you want, I'll just define it. You can just note it down. What is passive? Just first write active strain. Okay, active restraint mechanism, you can write it in bracket the muscle, which means in active strain your muscles are involved. Is the It's a contractile component of joint stability, where not only you rely on the muscles, not only you rely on the muscles that act on a joint to provide the force needed to move. Your muscles are not only rely on that muscles which is going to push you or which is going to force you, but you also rely on them to resist force, but you also rely on them to resist force that could potentially cause injury. So it is not just like your body and your muscles are only depending to push that. Also you are aware for that there should be no injury. You hold such strength into your muscles, you hold such force into yourself, that You are performing the pose. Yes, you're performing the pose. Your muscles are active enough to perform that pose, but also alert enough to hold that pose so that any kind of injury should not be there. Okay. So this is the active mechanism. Now, what is the passive? Basically, these features that is activated by the forces or a collision. These features that is activated by the force or collision. COLLISION, or sudden stop with the intention of preventing injury to the occupant, or the sudden stop with the intention of preventing injury to the occupant. So there will be a certain intention into your mind to prevent from the injury. There's a perfect example I have given you. A car, when you sit in car, you are already, you know what safeties you need to take care of before driving that car. So if you are doing any push or any exercises, you should be, you there is an instinct, there is a certain instinct in your mind. Okay, fine. If I am not, my body, my bones are and my joints are not prepared for headstand, my joints are not prepared for to hold that downward facing dog pose. At that point of time, you don't try that. Okay. So these are the precautions your passive, that is a passive state of mind your mind is performing at that point of time. Now, next is neuromuscular training, and it focuses on performing exercises that train the nervous and muscles to react and communicate. Basically, it focuses on performing exercises where your nerves, okay, where nervous cells and your muscles are involved. At that point of time, you whenever you are doing exercise, at that point of time, it takes care that your muscles and your nervous cells are also involved in that. Okay, so neuromuscular, which means the term neuromuscular means it focuses on performing exercises that train the nerves and muscles to react and communicate. At that point of time, your muscles and your nerves should be, they are ready to communicate with your muscles when you're performing any kind of exercise. They both are involved. What they are involved? Your nerves and your muscles. Both are involved with each other while performing the exercise. That is known as neuromuscular. So these kind of neuromuscular, there are kind of training. Neuromuscular is also a training which people do, and that is that program are designed to both increase the strength, to increase the strength of your knee, to increase the strength of your joint. So neuromuscular is also a kind of different kind of training which people do to increase their strength of their knees and their shoulders. Okay, to make a proper balance and techniques. They use the different kind of techniques to make their, so that their body and joint should be in the stable and they are having stability and mobility, and the different kind of techniques which they use to make their body balanced. Okay, so that is known as neuromuscular, where which is involved when you're performing any kind of exercise, which you are doing any exercise, your nerve cells and your muscles are related to, they can get connected to each other and to communicate and to perform the exercise. Okay, now training the muscles. What does it mean? Training the muscles means a muscle imbalance also needs a joint laxity. If you are training, it is not important while performing the exercise that your bones is only active, should be active. If your bones are active, for example, if your bones are strong enough to hold any pose or to do any exercise or to lift the weights, but your muscles are not strong, you can't do that. You at a certain point of time, both should be strong enough to hold any kind of position. If your muscles are not strong and if your bones are strong, that point of time, if you hold, suppose if you're holding a weight, there will be pain in your muscles, or maybe you can't hold it, you'll just leave that. Okay, because okay, by the force of that you can hold that weight, but at certain point of time, when the point will come that you need to hold that weight and you have to push it, that point of time you can't do that because your muscles are not working properly. Your muscles are not with you to work with. Okay, so your muscles are already also very important to do the training of your muscles. How can you do that? To do muscle training, again you can do the exercise, you can do yoga, you can perform, there are various type of poses to strengthen your muscles. Okay, there are various type of exercises you'll find to strengthen just particularly you can strengthen your muscles. Okay, there are different kind of exercise your bones. So there are different kind of poses and exercises through which you can also strengthen your muscles and give a training to your muscles. Now, toning the surrounding muscles. Basically, if we talk about physiology, anatomy, and medicine, the muscle toning means you can just write down the word tonings around the muscle because it is given in the book and it is given a sort of example. But I would like to tell you the definition of it. If we talk about physiology, medicine, and autonomy, toning means the residual muscle, RESIGUL, residual muscle tension or tonus, residual muscle tension or tonus is the continuous and passive partial contraction of the muscle. Now, if I talk about in simple language, toning of surrounding muscles means it maintains the low level of body fat. Okay, so whatever fat is required in your body, it keeps that, and it makes a form in it. It gets toned, and the rest of fat of your body get evacuated from the body. So basically, tone of surrounding muscles means it maintains the low level of fat into your body. Okay, the definition which I have given you, that is a different, like a technical definition, but in book it is given, it's little different. You can understand that, but this definition is given by the physiology, medicine, and autonomy. And what does it mean? You can write it down in simple language in bracket. It means it maintains the low level of body fat in a human body. So maintaining level of body fat means automatically you are toning your body. And if there is a lot of fat in your body can't be toned. Your muscles around your body can't be toned. But if you reduce all the fats from your body, if the fat is evacuated from your body, that point of time, the muscle will get toned. Okay, there will be no fat around your body. You can't see the fat around your body. That point of time, your muscles will be strong enough to hold any position. Your muscles will be able to hold any position. And then joints will be also strong enough to hold any position. Okay. Now, your daily joint mobility and stability routine. What is your daily routine of your, where you can see the stability in your joints and muscles? Our connective tissues are with each other. That point of time there is a ligament is formed and the joint is formed. And mobility means when your tissues are running into your body, that point of time your body is active, your movement are there, you can see the movement in your body, that is the mobility. Okay, so in daily routine, daily functioning of your body, if you talk, so what kind of can you just tell me what function do you perform in your daily life where your stability and mobility of your joint is involved? Any one of you? First, we'll not talk about exercises. Exercises are different. In book, it is given the poses and exercises are given that in which pose and which exercise we can see the mobility and stability of our bones. That I'm not talking about. If we talk about daily routine, if we talk about daily activities, then can you just tell me what is that? Normal. For example, right now, if you're sitting, if you're taking class, there is no mobility and stability in your joint because you're sitting there. Your knees, there is no movement of your joints. There's no, right? But if you'll, after completing your class, if you are going and if you are going into washroom, for example, or going getting freshen up, if you are going into kitchen, if something falls down, if you are picking it up, maybe if you're cleaning your house, that point of time, your stability of your joint and mobility of your joint, you can see that point of time. Because that point of time, your body is active, you are doing something, you are picking up. That point of time, your knees are involved, your hands are involved. If you're cleaning your house, that point of time, you are cleaning that, your spine is involved, again your hands are involved, your legs are involved, your knees are involved. So these are the basic activities. Also you can see the stability of your joint, you can maintain, also you should maintain. If you are in your house, don't sit idle, do something, work, because if it is not allowed to go outside, that point of time, if you're sitting idle, if you're just sitting on one place, there will be no stability and no mobility. Also, there will be stiffness in your body. So always keep your body active, always work, always focus on your stability and mobility of your joints. It's very important, guys, because at the age we are right now, after 10 years or 5 years, if we talk about that point of time, if your bones are not strong, if our, like any part of our body is not strong, that we can that can be like at certain point of time that you can like deal with. But if you talk about your bones, if your bone is not strong, how will you do something? You will automatically, you have to be dependent on anyone. To avoid that, you have to make your bones strong, so that at least till the time you are on this planet, your body is active and you can do your own work. You should not be dependent on others, right? Now, no, this topic was not in book. This was a basic knowledge I was giving you. You should always be strong enough to handle your own work and should not be dependent on others. Because if your body is not active, if you are not active, your bones are not active, at certain point of time, automatically you have to be dependent on anyone because you can't move. Okay. Now, next is safe movement. Next topic would be in biomechanics would be safe movement. What does it mean? Okay, before that, I would like to cover one thing. There was an exercise. They have given the what poses are also there that I have explained you that what in your daily routine, what are the how you can maintain your stability and mobility. But here it is given some yoga poses. That is the neck circle, good for those who stare at screen all long day. So if someone is looking continuously, they are looking onto TV or they are just working on laptop. At that point of time, there should be a rotation in their neck like this. They should rotate that. Okay. So neck circle is very important for them, especially those who are already 24/7. They are on screen. Okay. Next is backstroke, backward arm circle. So backstroke and backward arm circle. When you do like this, that is the movement of your joint. That is very important. If you continuously, if you are sitting idle, if you there is no movement in your hand, at certain point of time there will be a pain you will be feeling because you are not moving it. If you are moving it, that pain is different. But if you're not moving it, that is the stiffness you feel. Okay, that is the stiffness you feel. Will be a clotting. There is a kind of little clotting in your hands, in your arms, because of which there will be no blood circulation, and that is a different kind of pain. So now hip circle, a pelvic circle. In a hip circle, the pelvic circle is involved. When you do warm up, that point of time there is a one gesture. You rotate your waist, right? You do squats. That point of time your hip is involved. Okay. Now cat cow, that you already know why we do cat cow, so that there will be no back problem, there will be no spine problem. Ankle circles, when we do this, that is also very important to do every time. If you're sitting, you should do always 10 times, 5 times always at least you should do, because if continue, if you are making notes, for example, if I talk about myself, if I'm making notes, if I'm writing something for at least half an hour, I am not taking weight. After some time, my wrist don't work. I can't move my wrist. So it's better to do it, at least do it this exercises. If you are doing anything, if you are doing household work also, you should always move your ankles. That is very healthy for you, because that nothing is there, it will be active, your bones will be active 24/7 if you are moving it. Wrist circle, ankle circle, those for who go keyboards all day, that is the same thing. Sorry, wrist and ankle. If your ankle, like the leg also, you should do it. And if we talk about wrist, if you are doing working on keyboard, or if you are doing anything, if you are writing, children are making notes every time. If we talk about school children, that they are also, their mother and father should always try to keep your child do it like this also. That is very important for your wrist. Now, next would be safe movement. What does it mean? Safe movement means, of course, if you're doing any kind of yoga, in previous chapters also, I just explained you, we have sort of, there was a topic safe movement. So what does it mean? If we are doing any yoga pose, any exercise, or we are into any sports, that point of time we should know what our body is allowing, what is our limits in that exercise or activity. If we are not seeing, if we are doing beyond that, we are just crossing our limits and then we are performing. At that point of time, automatically any part of body can be hurt, right? So safe movement means we should always keep in our mind that while performing anything, any activity, we should there should always be a safe movement of our body. If, for example, if I'm doing handstand or if I'm doing chakrasana and I'm not experienced, I have not done practice enough, and if I'm just going back like this without any support of wall or something, that point of time my wrist will hurt. There will be my maybe there will be directly there will be my wrist will broke. So you should always try to perform activity or perform any yoga pose with the safe movement. Okay, if your body is not ready, don't go for it. Do practice with blocks. You can use your helping props and equipments. Do with that. And the time will come when you can remove that, and then you can. But for that, you need a confidence in your mind and in your body as well. Okay, without getting confidence in your mind and body, don't perform any activity which is not good for your joints and for your bone. Okay. Now, here it is given that what kind of basically in the safe movement, what things are involved. Short muscles are involved. Yes, there are various kind of short muscles in our body, which they affect first. Okay, they get affected first. If we are performing anything wrong, our short muscles get affected first because large muscles are kind of strong. It will take time, but short muscles are not that enough strong, right? So it will get affected first. We should always keep in our mind that we should always have safety movement so that our short muscles will not get hampered or will not get affected. Short, tight fascia that envelopes the muscle fibers. So the muscle fibers, always the fibers which we are the connective tissues which is running in our bones in our body. That point of time, if we are performing any activities, the connective tissue will stop working. The ligaments will be get hurt. That ligaments is not strong enough. You can't perform any pose. You'll feel performing anything. You will feel while doing movement of any part of your body. Tightness in the fascia bag. So there is a see if we talk about many people have their tightness in their hips. They can't do child pose properly. Okay, even though they are in the downward facing dog pose, they feel so much pain that they can't hold that pose. Why? They are just because of the tightening of their hips. So tightening, if we talk about tightening of the hips, there are the tightening of your muscles as well. That point of time, if there is a tightening in your muscle, if you're performing anything which your body is not allowing, that point of time the muscle will get pulled. Must have heard the word that my muscle is pulled, and you are in so much pain for 3 to 4 days at least that you can't perform anything. Why? Because that is the main reason that your muscles are so tight, and but you were forcing your muscle to do that thing which your body was not prepared to do. Okay. Now, restriction distance between the local muscle group, nervous system. Of course, there is a fascia, muscles, tendons. So everything, guys, it is given. Everything is involved for the safe movement. Safe movement doesn't only include your bones and your ligaments. It also involves your nervous system, your immune system, the water resistance in your body. If there is not enough water in your body, for example, water is also important for you. So drink plenty amount of water. Why they said drink plenty amount of water? Because if there is no water in your body, enough water, and if you're performing any activity, if you're doing any exercise at certain point of time, you feel dizziness. You will feel dizziness because there is no good amount of water in your body to hold any pose or to perform any activity. See, eating things are also very important to stay fit and stay strong. But if you're not drinking water is also important for your body to maintain that pH value into your body. Taking water is very important. If you're not drinking water, plenty water, at the time will come that yes, your body, your muscles are strong, your body is strong, but if water is not there in your body, you will feel after doing every pose, you'll feel dizziness. Okay. For example, if some people feel doing Kati Chakrasana, they feel dizziness because that point of time we look back, right? They feel there is a very much problem of dizziness to them. Earlier, I was having the problem of dizziness, but after taking a water in good manner, this problem get resolved. So yes, there should be adequate amount of water resistance in your body to do the safe movement. Basically, safe movement involve these points as well. Nervous system, if you are not your nervous system, if you are doing any pose, wrong pose, if you are doing a wrong twisting also, there will be your abdomen will get stretched, that will get hampered. So that is also the main point of doing the safe movement. There are several other factors, including emotional state of mind. Yes, safe movement is emotional. If your mind, that if you're not having a sound mind, suppose if you are upset with anything and you are performing yoga, if you're performing exercise, that is that point of time you can't do your 100%. Or maybe if you're disturbed, you will do that yoga pose with very you will do it in very harsh manner. Maybe you are angry and you want to release that anger to someone or somebody, but you are releasing it to your body. That is also not good. So there are many factors to which is involved in safe movement. It can be that can be included to your short muscle, long muscle, your nervous system, your immune system, your water resistance, and your emotional state of mind. Okay. Now, the planes of movement. What are the planes of movement? Basically, the planes of movement means in the first figure of your book, given the anatomical position, the three planes are horizontal plane, slight plane, and quaternary plane. So what is the plane? That planes means the first plane is here, this side of your portion. Second plane would be this side plane. And the third one would be horizontal plane. And there is given sagittal plane, sagittal stator, and coronal stator. That all it is in your brain. Everything is in your brain. How they perform, how do you perform any movement, how do you perform any exercises. At that point of time, the alert, the consciousness which you get into your mind while performing any yoga pose, so that you can prevent yourself from any injury, so that if you're not, for example, someone is, people are, they can do but they're scared to do any pose or do any exercises. So what kind of they get motivation from their mind itself. There is a kind of motivation which releases from their mind, oh, you can do it, and they perform automatically. So these kind of messages which they are getting from their nervous cells. There are three planes in their mind, that is they perform from sagittal plane, from sagittal suture, and coronal suture. Okay, two planes of the body named after suture are in skull. That is all into your skull. Okay. See, the bones helps us to perform the poses, to hold the poses. The muscles and ligaments, they helps us you to perform the poses. But if it, how you perform that, how do you hold that, how much time do you hold that? That is just because of your mind. Your mind gives you that conscious, that state of mind, that message to hold. Okay, now you have to, after this you need to go for this. Okay, after this you need to go for this. Okay. Now, yesterday that also I have explained, but today also it is in the topic is here. That topic is again here. You can, if you want, you can note it down. The what kind of directions are there? What are the movements your body is going to, your joint is going to take, and which directions? What are the different kind of movement your joint can perform? Okay, that is given. First is flexion and extension. Okay, so what does it mean? Basically, flexion and extension means it is, see, flexion and extension you can perform, it is given in your book, right? In this chapter. Okay. So diagram is also given. Flexion and extension includes your, it is in your limbs of your body. So what does the flexion means? Flexion means if you are going towards your body, like to outer side of your body. If you are pulling your, not in diagram it is given leg. Okay, you are just holding your leg, you're holding your toes from your fingers, and then you are expanding your legs in front of you. That is a flexion. You are doing it from your body. Okay, but if it is, if we talk about a hand, we can perform it from the hand as well, like this. These exercises we are doing, that is the flexion. Okay, so if we talk about extension, extension means expanding anything. So we can extend, if we talk about human body, what we can extend our legs. That is the diagram which is given Natarajan pose. That is the extension where she's performing the extension of her with her joints, with her limbs. But if we talk about other part, what is the extension? For example, if you're sitting, okay, and if you're widening up your legs, and if someone is stretching that, that is also, we can call it as an extension. Okay, so extension and flexion means if you are doing towards of your body, in front of your body, you're flexing it, that is the flexion. And if you are extending it and if you are pulling it from your hand or any part of your body, that is the extension you're performing. And that is there also your joints are involved through which you are holding your position. Internal and external rotation. What does it mean? Internal and external rotation means when we rotate our limbs inwardly in the horizontal plane, it's when we rotate our limbs. See, in every rotation, your limbs is involved. When we rotate our limbs inwardly means inward. In the horizontal plane, this is called medial rotation, MEDIAL, medial rotation. And when we rotate our limbs in outwardly direction, it's called external rotation or lateral rotation. LETERAL, lateral rotation. Okay, so this is the definition of internal. And if we talk about internal, where you perform, where your limbs use the horizontal plane, and if we talk about external, when you move your limbs outwardly. So there is an example given in your book. Jenny, can you read it out? The definition is given if we on fifth line of this paragraph. The example is given.
When we rotate,
Fifth line of this
when
paragraph.
we rotate it's called external rotation or lateral rotation. To feel this, stand in mountain pose with your heels apart and move your toes towards each other. That is internal rotation of the femur in the hip socket. Move the toes away from each other and the heels together. That is external rotation. Which term we choose is determined by what happens to the more distal segment of the limb. In this case, the foot.
Yeah. So did you get it? The example? Irina, please explain what was the example of internal and external rotation, how we can feel it.
Yeah, so when we're in mountain pose, if we move our toes towards each other, then that's internal rotation of the hip. Rotation away from each other.
Yeah, so basically when we are into mountain pose, your heels apart and move your toes towards each other. So your heels are apart and your toes are away from each other, apart from each other. Okay, that is outwardly. You are doing it outwardly, away from each other. Now, in the internal rotation, femur of the hip socket moves toes away from each other and the heels together. So if we talk about that point of time, your hips are at the top, at the heel. Okay, that is your outward part. That is the top of it. And that point of time, your femur is, your socket of your hip is equally involved in that. And that point of time, you are, see, if you are doing it, your shoulders are loose. You are standing on your hand, your shoulders are loose, your toes are away from each other, but your internal body part, you are forcing it inward. Okay, it is might be your instructor have told you, try to look your navel while doing it, the dog pose, downward facing dog pose. That point of time, you push your body inside. Yeah, but your hips and your toes are outer side, your heels are up apart from your toes. Okay, so this is the perfect example of internal and external rotation which you perform in downward facing dog pose or mountain pose. Okay, now abduction and adduction. So basically, Arina will tell you what is adduction, abduction. Yesterday only we have done it, we have completed it.
Yeah, so when we move away from the midline, that's called abduction. And when we move it in, So like in, that's called adduction.
Okay, so in the diagram, two diagrams are given in the book. Can you just tell me what is adduction and what is abduction? Shruti?
Yeah, abduction is moving away from the center line.
See, in that diagram, abduction and adduction has been given. Okay, so moving away from the midline, that is known as abduction. Away means if you are moving away your hand from here to here. Okay, that is in two different positions, two different directions. That is adduction. Okay, now what is abduction? If we talk, abduction means you are moving not like this. See, this is if this is adduction, you're moving up away from your arms are open, that is adduction. But abduction is not this. If you're pushing it away, that is not abduction. Abduction means you are moving, you are up inward from the midline. That means you are going downward and you are facing upward. If we talk, see, here is it is performing the triangle pose of external rotation, abduction. Okay, so that means that point of time, what is that? Away is adduction, and if you are going, it is if you are bringing it back, if you are doing it internally, that is adduction. So if there are two different diagram is given in that book, that is the perfect example of adduction of internal rotation. See, if we talk, we are going downward. One hand is downward, one is up. Okay, in triangle pose that girl is performing here. There you can see that adduction of external rotation, which means external rotation is going outside, up. It is going out from your body. That is the external rotation. Okay, that is not above. That is just nearby your leg, but your hands are up. You are going inward. That is abduction. And if we talk about adduction, that is basically you are moving your arms away from your hand. Maybe you can do it from your leg as well. If your leg, your arms and your leg both are away and you're stretching it, that is a adduction. You are doing adduction from your body. Okay. Slight flexion, which means you have seen it that we have a different kind of poses. We do stretching like this.
I'm sorry, can we go over that again? I think you were saying the other way around. I'm very confused because abduction is moving away.
Abduction
right?
is moving away from your body. That
From the
means you're
midline.
moving your arms. Okay. You're
Yeah,
moving your arms away from your
yeah,
body.
and up is adduction.
Up.
But I
Adduction.
think you said the other way around.
No, it is given in that diagram. I said that you're moving your arms away from your body, from your midline. Yesterday
Yeah.
also we have written it, no?
Yes,
Moving
yes,
your arms away from your body, from your midline, that is adduction.
yeah. That's what
Yeah?
I said. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is abduction?
No, abduction is moving away from the midline.
Abduction, you're moving your body part. See that the word is given only V, but abduction, I'm repeating it again. Abduction is moving your body away from the midline. Correct?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Abduction is moving your body away from the midline. That is known as abduction. And what is
Yeah.
adduction? What is adduction?
Moving towards the body.
Towards the body. That means away is abduction, A-B.
Yeah.
D-U-C-T-I-O-N. And moving inward towards your body, that is adduction. Clear? Okay. What is slight flexion? Slight flexion means if you are just moving your arms up and you are moving your body, if you're twisting your body in from left to right, okay, that is known as slight flexion. Another movement that can occur in the frontal plane in the side flexion of the spine. So when you move from your spine, when you move, like when you do go backward, you go backward. When you go forward, your spine is going forward. When you're going left, you're just waist is turning around and you're going left. But what if we talk about flexion, which we can do it from the spine? That is a slight flexion. When we bring our arms up and we go left and we do stretching. When we stretch our spine is involved. Also, our side stretching abdomen is also involved. You feel stretch here. That is known as side flexion. And we also known as, this is also known as Adhir Chakrasana, Chandrasakhan. Okay. Half moon pose involves the lateral flexion of the spine. So that involves your half spine, not full. When you do it like this, you rotate half. You twist half your body, half of your body. Okay. Now, horizontal abduction, what is that? Movement occur in more than one plane at a time, which makes it more challenging to understand what is happening biomechanically. So basically, it's if you talk about horizontal abduction, it's not easy to recognize. You can't see any one body and you can tell, okay, he's performing horizontal abduction, because to recognize it is very difficult. So how we can recognize it is given in that book. Flexion of the leg in the hip socket combined with abduction is a common movement of in yoga. So a unique name of for this movement is used, horizontal abduction. We find that this in a variety of postures such as goddess, tree pose, vikshasana, or straddle pose. These are two ways to get horizontal. So what is that? How can we perform this horizontal abduction? We can perform it by the tree pose. We keep one leg on other leg. We just raise our arms and we do the prayer pose. That is the perfect example of horizontal abduction, where our internal socket, hip thighs sockets are in our hip. There is a socket through which we can rotate, through which the movement of your hips can be done. So that is involved there, where you hold your position and then you strengthen your body and stretch your body upwards. Okay. Pulling it all together, goddess is an example of horizontal inversion of humerus in a hip socket. That I have just explained you. Pulling it all together means when you stretch all part of your body all together, and then at that certain point of time, what you do, for example, if you are doing normal Surya Namaskar pose, when you raise your arms, when you go back, that point of time, your all body part, your all joints, every tissue of your body is involved and they flow. When you stretch your body back towards, you every body is all together involved, right? That point of time. So that is the same thing. In fact, when you are doing triangle pose, if you are doing dog one facing dog pose, you are holding your whole body through your arms. Okay. You feel the more pressure where which part of your body you feel more pressure while doing downward facing dog pose, your legs or your arms? Of course, maybe in your arms, because all the pressure, the more force which you receive from your body part, it is in your arms. You hold your body from there. So all together, your legs, your all the ligaments, your all body, all bones, all the function are all together involved while performing any yoga pose. Guidelines to safeguard the knee during yoga practice. So yes, knee is, if you hurt your knee, that point of time there will be no movement. So to perform a movement to save it, how you can save your knee from performing yoga? Do not do harsh yoga poses. Okay, do not push your knee to do something which you are not comfortable with. Okay, so for example, if in yoga and meditation it is said that if your mind is sound, your body is sound. So it is vice versa also, right? If your mind is saying perform this activity with this techniques, do it with that. But if, for example, if you are ready for it, your mind is ready but your body is not ready for it, don't go for it. If that point of time here it is given, how you can safeguard your knee. So you can safeguard your knee while performing in a with the good techniques, proper techniques, while reading all the policies, all terms and conditions while performing any activities or any yoga pose. You should first read it. You should first and do it with in front of your teacher or instructor. Don't do it alone any yoga pose if you're not ready for it. Okay. One into your practice, a lot of injuries occur not properly warming up. See, warming many people, they feel that warming up is the wastage of time. Directly go and do the exercise, which is not good. For example, if you're sleeping and you are again you wake up and you're going for exercise, if you'll start running fast, if you'll do hard poses, if you'll start doing headstand at that certain point of time or mountain pose, there will be what is the internal difference you'll feel. That point of time when you were sleeping, the blood circulation of your body was very normal. It was in there was a very easy flow of your blood circulation in your body, in your bloodstream. But when you wake up and you have directly you gone into headstand pose or you started running, that point of time from very slow to very fast, the blood circulation that will increase affect your circular system, respiratory system also, abdominal system also. So that is not good. While in spite of that, if you can do just little movement, you can start your day with the little movement, with the warm up, so that each and every part of your body will get open, will be in the working mode, and then you can slowly start your exercise from slow to start. That is, in that way, your body will be in correct manner. It will function in a good manner. Okay, there will be no harm, there will be no injury to your body. But if you are in resting mode, your body is in resting mode, and you're performing a harsh exercise or hard poses, that point of time, there are many more chances, 99% chances are there that you will hurt yourself. Okay, because that point of time, your mind is also not active that much. Okay, pay attention, always pay attention while doing any yoga pose. For example, your instructor is saying, if he is telling you all each and every technique to perform any pose, and if you miss any one or two points there, that will also, it will difficult for you to perform alone. So always pay attention while doing yoga poses. If someone is teaching at that context also, if you are alone and if you are doing it by yourself, that point also, you should always pay attention on your poses, on your focus. You should always focus on your pose, so that you can, at least you can judge yourself. If someone is not with you, you can also judge yourself that what poses you are doing wrong, where you have gone wrong, what poses, on which pose you need to improve. Okay, but if you're doing it just going with the flow, if you're doing it, then nothing, as attention you are paying it on your body, there will be a no progress in your body you can see or you can make. Okay, check your breathing, always check your breathing. If your breathing is so fast, control your breathing. For example, if you are running so fast, that always remember, if you are doing any fast exercise, just close your mouth, don't open your mouth and don't breathe, because at that point of time you can't control your breath. You can try that. If you're doing, if you get tired after doing yoga pose and if you're breathing so fast, just close your mouth, and in your mind just think of yourself that, okay, fine, now I have to control my breathe in 5 breathing, and just try to control breath of yourself in 5 breaths. You automatically, eventually, at a certain point of time, you will realize, okay, now you are calm, you are composed. But if you are breathing so fast and if you are opening your mouth and if you are doing, you can't control your breathe. It will be controlled, but it will take time for that. But if you are closing your mouth and if you are trying it to control your breathe by taking a long deep breath in 5 to 10 breaths, you can control yourself. You can control your breathing. Try once. So always check your breathing while performing yoga. If someone is asthmatic, if they have a breathing problem, they should not perform any fast or any harsh yoga poses. Okay, they should not do any thing, any yoga pose which is their body and respiratory system is not good for. Okay, stay inside your edge. Always make staying 5 to 10% inside your end range will help promote stability. So always make your body alignment. Always make your body this postures in you in certain. Just make you one remark. Make one parameter whenever you're doing yoga or any kind of sports you are involved with. Make one parameter. Okay, this is my edge. From this, I don't have to go beyond this. Because why? Because in the somewhere in your mind, you know, okay, this is your mat, you have to stretch this much. You then at certain point of time you will not stretch less. Okay, you will not do. When you will do, there will be something in your mind, okay, no, last time I did this much, today I have to this. Because if I'll go beyond or less for this is not good for my body. Beyond, if you'll go, you will hurt yourself. But if you'll go less, that means you are not using your more strength, more power of your body. Okay, so always set your limits. Avoid sensation in your knee. See, people having arthritis problem, people having bone problem, or any kind of blood problem, if there is a less blood also in their body, they feel pain. If there will be no blood or less blood in your body, there will be a pain in your bone. You will feel so much pain in your joints that you can't perform, you can't move your body in an active mode. So if there is any sensation, people having arthritis problem or any problem, if they feel sensation in their Virabhadrasana, that point of time you need to bend your knees. Okay, you need to bend your knees that point of time. So if you feel any sensation there, for example, you can't hold yourself, you feel pain, but still you are holding yourself, don't hold it. Always do it in your limits. Okay, Don't force your body, especially don't force your knees. Because see, knees has a major part to perform any yoga pose. Okay. If your knees are strong, you can hold any pose from your legs. But if your knees are not strong, if there is any problem in your knees, if there is no blood circulation, if there is a joint problem in your knees, you can't hold any yoga pose. So knees has a very important role into your body. Honor your own range of motion. So whatever motion your body is going through, whatever posture your body is going through, in which speed it is going through, you should always watch that and always control that. Never go beyond your motions. Okay, if you're going beyond your motion, again you can hurt your body, you can hurt your joints. Avoid twisting your knees. Always twist your body, not your knees. Okay. You can twist your neck, you can twist your hand, you can twist your spine, you can twist your ankle. Everything you can twist, but never try to twist your knees, because it is, first of all, it is not possible to twist in the manner you can twist rest of your body parts. But if you're trying, it is not made for it. The body part which is not made for anything, don't do that, don't try that, because it will eventually, you can hurt yourself. What from knees, what you can do, you can just do up and down. Okay, you can do upward or downward from your knees, you can do exercise from your knees, but you can't twist it. Okay. Avoid pressure on your knees. Always do not give pressure. People having their body is fat, but their legs are very thin. That point of time, their body can't control the weight from their legs. So majorly they face this problem, this pressure on their knees, if they are doing yoga pose, if they are doing headstand, or if they are doing downward facing dog pose, they can't handle the weight of their body. So, and if we talk about ourselves, do not push, do not do any harsh yoga pose, any dog harsh exercises. If you're doing headstand, if you're doing downward facing dog pose, if you're doing camel pose, there where you're standing with your knees, so hold it till the time you can. Don't push, because at the certain point of time, if you're pushing yourself, you can't stand back. While you getting standing yourself, you'll feel pain. There will be a lot of pain in your knees, and which can help for 3 to 4 days. So avoid your pushing your knees. Avoid hyperextension. Again, a hyperextension means always avoid the wide range of motion into your body. Whatever stretching your body is good for, whatever stretching your mind is allowing, do that. Don't push yourself. Okay. Don't do much stretching. For example, if my body is not prepared for middle split, why should I go for that? Yes, I can do practice, but I can do it from the blocks. Maybe I can take the support of anything. Maybe I can do it with in front of my teacher or instructor. But I'll not push myself. No, today only I have not done it before, but today I'll do the splitting. That is not possible. See, your body is also, it can be prepared with a certain point of time. It will take time. Any pose, if you are not good with, or if you are doing it, if you are practicing it, you can't do it in one day. It will take time. It will take years, 6 months, 1 month to get it in that form, to do it in proper form. It will take time. But practicing it regularly and doing it on the regular basis, that is possible. You can do it one day. But if you're trying it to do it one day, that is not possible. Okay. So never get high, avoid always hyper extension it of for any part of your body. Avoid red flags, sharpness, shooting numbers, tingling down limbs, make nervous, anything makes your grimms grant, hate you, yoga instructor. So avoid the red flags means whatever is not allowing to your like if you're not comfortable with the class, you're not comfortable with your yoga instructor. Maybe if you're not comfortable with the environment of your class. So anything if you're not comfortable with, which is triggering your mind, which is triggering your body. For example, not only mind, if your mind is not comfortable in class, avoid that. You can see the substitute for that. Maybe you can talk to your instructor, maybe you can talk to your head, and then you can change. You can make a change for it, whatever you're comfortable with. And if that is not only about your mind, it's your body. For example, if you're going into your class, there is so much like in your summer days, you're not comfortable, your body is not adaptable for heat, and you on daily basis you are facing that point of time, body is not comfortable with the environment, again your mind will not get prepared. So for that, if anything is triggering your mind, or your body avoids such things. Modify your body and try using props. Always try using props. Props means the blocks or any belt. For example, for if you talk about shoulder opening, you can't, if your shoulder is not open, you can't open it with yourself. You need anything to open it. Maybe you need a belt. Maybe you need a rod. So for that, these are kind of different examples of props. You can use it to modify your body. If you are beginner, or maybe if you are on advanced level, then also somewhere you need a props to perform any yoga pose. Okay, you need blocks to do, like if you doing crow pose, you need blocks for that if you're beginner, so they will not fall down. If you're doing any arm balancing pose, there are chances that you can hurt your chin or your nose. For that you need a blocks. Okay, so these are the blocks will also help you a lot to get, you can take a prevention from injury. Okay, so and also for the modification, of course, for your body, if you can see the change, you can make changes in your body if you're using different kind of props, and you can you if you're performing yoga. Okay, if you're not taking any prop, if you're not taking anything, and then if you're performing yoga, there will be a time where you will be at certain point of time, you will be on the same stage, you will not see any progress in yourself. In spite of that, if you're using any rod, any blocks or something, if you're trying different things, and if you're performing, there will be always, there are little change per day, there will be little change you will be seeing in yourself. Now, the last topic is contradictions, misalignments, and adaptation. In this chapter, basically, the point is, what is the term contradiction, misalignments? If there is a mixed alignment set of our body, if we are performing, if you are not in our correct alignment, okay, that point of time, there are chances you can hurt yourself. Okay, your joints will get hurt. That point of time, you can't perform that posture in the correct manner as well. So alignment is a very important. If you are doing a yoga pose with the correct alignment, you will perform that posture, you will perform that pose in a good, with the correct technique as well. Now, physical condition, there is a box given here. What is the physical condition, primary concern, contradictions, and benefits of yoga? So if first is hamstring injury, that is the major and the basic problem everyone is having. Hamstring problems causing further injury by straining ligaments, causing repeated injuries, overstretching. So hamstring is the problem which cannot be cured in one day. It takes time. And how does it occur? The ligaments of your body is not so strong. That point of time you feel pain. You can't stretch your body enough. So that is the reason hamstring problems occur. Now, the contradiction, avoid stretching for the first week after injury. So if there is, see, if I'm having a hamstring problem and I'm a beginner, I'm at my first day of a class, and I have that point of time when I'll go home, there will be a lot of pain in my legs and body, because before that I was not into yoga, I was not into exercise. So of course my hamstring will be there. There is a hamstring problem which I am having. I'll be in so much pain. So I should avoid at least 1 week. I should be on the same page. I should not force myself at least for first week, so that the pain which I am having, I should take it for 1 week, and slowly I can push myself. Again, I can stretch. Okay. Now, proceed with the caution of all poses that stretch hamstring and bend the knees to ease stress on the muscle growth. So the caution, whatever cautions we need to take while doing stretching and while performing any yoga pose where our hamstring is involved, we should always take, because hamstring is the major problem and risky problem also. If any part of your bone is stretched, must stretch. Okay, so always be conscious while doing that. Poses, forward bending, dogwood. So what are the, where you feel hamstrings problem? Of course, first is mountain pose, where you feel much more. Okay, then there is triangle pose also, where you feel much more hamstrings problem, and forward bending. These are the major three poses where you feel hamstrings problem, where your hamstrings are involved. Okay, also these are the three poses where you, from where you can cure your hamstrings. Okay, while doing it on regular basis and with the proper technique. Benefits of yoga: strengthening hamstring is isometric contraction, step poses. So whatever the stiffness is in your body, you can cure that. There are many hips replacement. So whatever hip problems are there, like if you're doing downward facing dog pose, many people, their hips are not top of it. Why? Because their hamstrings are not working properly. So eventually, if your hamstring is not correct, if your hamstring problem is there, you can't make your hip postures correct. Okay, your hips and hamstrings are interrelated to each other. Knee injury, again, I have just explained you what is the knee injury. Always take care of your knees. Always perform. Do not push your knees in any yoga pose. Lower back pain, if someone is having a lower disc problem or something, they should always avoid camel pose. They should always avoid back bending pose. They should not push themselves while doing back bending pose. They should do it in proper manner or with very, very gently manner. Now, scoliosis, what is that? Exhibiting the pain in the back and the psoariatic curve. So there is a basically psoariatic pain means if there is a pain in your back, and again if you are pushing your back, that is not good. If there is a pain in your back, you should do that poses like cat cow poses, which from which you can cure your back pain. But you should not exaggerate your back pain while doing camel pose, or you should doing chakrasana. If you're thinking I'll do chakrasana and my back pain will get removed, no, nothing like that. There are different yoga poses in back pain also you can do through which you can get benefit, but you can also avoid that poses which will hamper or trigger that pain. Shoulder injury, of course, there is a dislocation of shoulders if you are performing your yoga pose in fast manner and with not proper technique. People, mainly major people, have their problem of dislocation of their shoulders. Why? Mostly in boys as well and with the girls as well. If they perform, if they are doing handstand and they are not prepared for it, or they are doing with the wrong technique, there will be a replacement, there will be a dislocation of shoulders. Now, joint pain dysfunctioning. So there is a joint pain as well. If you are, there is a slip of joints, like there is a slip of shoulder, there is a slip of your joints. If you are doing overstretching, if you are pushing your hamstrings problem, if you are doing oversplitting, that point of time there will be a replacement of your joint. There were dysfunctions of your joint. Wrist injury, of course, if you are doing handstand, if you are performing crow pose, that point of time, if you are doing with the rock technique, if you're maybe if you're not using blocks, or if you're pushing your wrist, there will be injury in your wrist. Okay, so always take care of your wrist also. Misalignments, I have told you what is misalignments. Misalignments, it means if you're not doing in any yoga pose with the good alignment, or if you're not starting any yoga pose with the good alignment, that point of time you can't do the correct pose as well. Okay. For example, in the diagram it is given how to stand in samasthiti. Samasthiti means you should be in the stand at ease pose. Okay, you should be in straight. Your hand, your everything will be straight. Your shoulder should be straight, not like this. Okay, you should not like stand like this. So this is also proper alignment. Proper alignment is very important to perform yoga pose. Now, if you're doing with butterfly pose, if you're doing it, how you see she's sitting, the girl is sitting, how she's sitting, there are different A and B's given. So which pose you should sit and which pose you should not sit. If you're, see, why alignment is important basically, it includes your joints as well. If you are not standing in the proper alignment, that means you are not standing in with the good part of your joints. That point of time, maybe you are in pain. There are many postures which will relax you. But if you're not performing it in a proper manner, that will eventually, that will not relax you, that will cause an injury to your body. Okay. So alignment means to make you to use your joints in a proper manner, so that you the movement of your joint which you will feel, your body will feel, will not trigger your body or your body parts. Okay. In a triangle pose, you should, how this girl is standing, there is part A, 110 degree and 150 degree. So you should never stand in 110 degree. That means your half hand is on your knees, your hands are up, your shoulders are totally up like this, your head is looking towards your palm. Alignments through which this is, if you are doing it like this way, there will be no benefit, but yeah, there are many consequences your body can face. Okay. And what is the correct pose it is given? If you are doing it, there will be a proper flow of the blood into your body. There will be no harm into your abdomen, in your respiratory system, in your circulatory system, because each and every part is involved there. Now, there is a common alignment cue for the knee and warrior pose. Of course, if we talk about alignment, there are different type of alignments which includes your knee, your hands, your shoulders, your wrist, your ankle. So every part of your body should have a different kind of alignment and a proper alignment. If you're doing it with the proper alignment, each and every posture you can do in proper way. If we talk about Virabhadra Asana also, how much your knees should be going outwards, how your hand should, what is the alignment of your hand? Your hand should not be like this, one hand up, one hand down. It should not be like this. So alignment is very important. Making your alignment correct is very important. Questions and answers on alignment. Okay. What is alignment? That when you'll go through the module, when you'll go with the biomechanics pose, see, in biomechanics, as I just informed you, your all joint parts, your ligaments, your connective tissues are involved. How you do the safe movement, how you can make alignment, how you can save your this joints, knees, your part of your body, your bones to get it injured. How you can save it from getting like any you can meet with any accident or something. So how what conscious you get in your mind? What are the cells involved in that? So these all topics were covered in biomechanics, and it is all about your joints part. In one, if we can say all in one, it is all about your joint parts. So what are the functions of your joint? What are the different joints involved? What are the names? Which direction they are located? What functions they perform? Everything is was in this chapter. So far, I have explained you. Now, question and answers are given. What correct alignment matters in yoga? Okay. What is adaptability? So what? How to adapt yoga poses? So these are the questions are given in your book. So that you need to, you can read that questions while when you will be going through the book module. Now there is a last topic that I will cover it. Why correct alignment matters in yoga? To reduce risk of injury. First answer, okay, that you know. Biomechanical efficiency lets you conserve energy, reduce fatigue, so build strength, better energy. So to get a better energy flow, your body should not get fatigued. You should build strength, better appearance. These are the some points which is very important to make a good alignment or to start yoga with the good alignment. Okay, that is given in your book, I think, right? That point is given. What is adaptability? Adaptability means, if we talk about adaptability, what in our journal life, also in your common life, also. So that is the major thing which every person is going through. Adapt. If you're not adapting anything, so it will difficult for you to survive anywhere in or in any environment. So if we talk about yoga, also, if you are not adapting yoga ethics, policies, terms, condition, techniques, it is difficult for you to understand what is yoga all about, what benefit is going to give you to your body, your mind, and everything. So adaptability is very important while doing yoga poses. Also, yoga exercises to help through changes. And now there are some poses given here through which the you can just you can feel the changes into your body. You can do, and very gently you can calm your mind. Your every part of your body, internal part body is also involved. First is child pose. How to do it? The technique has been given there. Then second is warrior two pose, outward facing dog pose, goddess pose, alternative nostril breathing. These are the different kind of poses, exercises, which helps you through change and adaptability. So when you will do, see, after reading it, you can't realize what changes will you get until and unless you will not do it on the regular basis, or when until unless you will not do it on for the certain point of time. Okay, so these are the major 5 poses which can give you the change in which you can feel into your body. This changes we can you can feel into your body as a part of adaptability. To adapt anything in the yoga journey or in yoga terms and condition, if something you want to adapt, these poses can help you to adapt. Okay, but that too, after reading it, you can't understand until unless you will not do it practically, and not only 1 or 2 day, but it will take time to understand. Okay, why how we can adapt such things while doing this or while using this poses into our daily life. Okay, so these are so far these were the topic of biomechanics, how it is related to yoga, how you can adapt, what are the portions that are involved in yoga, what role does the joint function perform in you this throughout our body, what are the directions, what were the functions, and what how it can benefit your mind, your body, your internal system like your nervous system, circulatory system, respiratory system. So these were the topic all about of biomechanics. So we have covered biomechanics as well. And Jenny, the first topic was left off yesterday. We have covered it, and maybe there is a recording. Sir will tell you. Sir will give you through which you can note it down. I have given notes to Arena as well, and Shruti also. You can note it down. There was a major topics. Maybe in your module it is not given. It is referred to the other chapter. But while covering that chapter, I have made a sequence and I have given the definitions for it, which will help you when you read the module. You can go through that definition and you understand it in easy language as well. Okay. Any doubt, Arena, Jenny, Shruti, in biomechanics so far, any topic or something? If you have any doubt in this, you can ask. And if you'll go through the book, if you'll go through the module, if any doubt is there, any topic is left, or you don't understand, please note it down. And then Sir will share you the recording, or maybe if there any revision class, or maybe if I'll there again to teach you, you can ask me and then we'll clear again the doubts. Or maybe if any topic is left, you can note it down. Okay. Okay, again at 1 o'clock you have so there is only 15 minutes to take break. Just go and relax. Okay.
Okay.
See you again.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Happy weekend.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.